right, welcome. It is remarkable to see the collection of people in this room. So first of all, good morning. My name is Julie Zimmerman. I'm the Vice Provost for Planetary Solutions here at the university. And together with J. Mike Bellamy, who's walking in the back, he's our Vice President for Facilities, Campus Development, and Sustainability. It is truly a pleasure to welcome this remarkable constellation of people from across Yale, our city, our state, and our partners who extend beyond to launch Yale Planetary Solutions Vision 2050. Today, we begin charting a strategic vision that will guide Yale's climate and sustainability work for decades ahead. Such an effort requires vision and courage, qualities exemplified by President McInnis, Mayor Elicker, and Commissioner Dykes. These are leaders who are showing us what it means to turn bold ideas into action and lasting impact through listening, collaboration, and coalition building. I'm grateful for them in joining us today. I also want to thank all of you. Today's audience is from every corner of Yale, from New Haven and Connecticut, from industry and from community organizations. Your presence reflects the very heart of Yale Planetary Solutions, because at its core, Yale Planetary Solutions is not a program, it's not an office, it's not a person, it's a community of people who believe that by working together, we can turn hope into progress. So everyone in this room knows the magnitude of the challenges we face, from climate change to biodiversity loss, to energy and food and water insecurity, inequity, global health, and more. Yale Planetary Solutions seeks to address these challenges by bringing together a remarkable community of faculty, staff, students, alumni, and partners. We are amplifying the extraordinary work that is already underway at this institution and at our partners. We are catalyzing new efforts to generate knowledge and translate discoveries. And we are enabling solutions with measurable impact. Impact that's local and global, technical and cultural, immediate and generational. Because of Yale Planetary Solutions, more students are learning by doing. More researchers are working across disciplines and schools, and more partnerships are turning insights into innovations. Yale Planetary Solutions is a new institutional model for how a university can act in the world, bringing all that it is, our students, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, our resources, our partners, and all that we do, teaching, learning, researching, building, convening, and investing, to bear on the greatest challenges of our time. Here at Yale, we're leveraging the extraordinary strengths of this institution, its excellence, brilliance, breadth, very long time horizons, its network, its capacity for discovery and invention, and its ability to shape global discourse. Thanks to the work of generations before us, these are the strengths and the gifts. And as we move forward into the future, it is both required and imperative that we use them to confront the grave threats to our people and the planet. There is also humility in this mission. We are not claiming Yale has all the answers, and we are very clear that we cannot do this work alone. Rather, we commit to our community and to our partners that we will bring everything Yale has to offer, knowledge, creativity, conviction, to solving these challenges. And we do so with hope and optimism that others will join. As we look towards 2050, we are fortunate to build on an incredibly strong foundation. For more than 125 years, Yale has led in environmental scholarship and action. From the founding of our forest school in 1900 to the creation of centers, programs, and even a farm, and to launch of Climate Haven in 2023. Our faculty have shaped global understanding, from Bill Nordhaus's social cost of carbon to the Environmental Performance Index used worldwide, from pioneering work linking climate and human health to natural solutions for carbon capture, and the creation of innovative climate tech companies through Yale Ventures. Our alumni are leaders across the globe, advancing conservation, reimagining industries, and embedding environmental principles into every sector of society. And here on campus, our operations teams across facilities, utilities, IT, operations, dining, and beyond turn ambition into action every day, delivering on Yale's commitments with creativity, reliability, and resolve. I have seen how committed that group of people is, and I'm really grateful to work with them. We see this same spirit in the members of the Yale Planetary Solutions Steering Committee, deans, vice presidents, and faculty whose perspectives guide our work. This group reflects Yale at its best, interdisciplinary, collaborative, and forward-looking. Together, they bring the university's full spectrum of expertise from science and engineering to law to the arts and public health into conversation to shape priorities, remove barriers to progress, and accelerate action. They are the architects helping us align ambition with accountability. We also witness this spirit in the work of the Office of Sustainability, finishing its 20th year. Its leaders, from Julie Newman to Ginger Chapman to Amber Gerard, who's sitting here today, have advanced the university's sustainability mission with vision and persistence. So if you've been around Yale long enough, you often hear this saying about having lots of stars and needing more constellations. Yale Planetary Solutions serves as a catalyst for creating these constellations, connecting the full breadth of Yale's knowledge and resources to act, engage, and lead on climate and sustainability. Beyond campus, our city, state, and regional partners are helping us advance shared goals. We're expanding green-collar jobs with the Connecticut Office of Workforce Strategy. We're integrating regional mass timber into construction with the city and Connecticut Deep. We are expanding urban resilience and green space with the City of New Haven, and we're developing geothermal training opportunities with Brightcore. These budding collaborations show the immense potential of aligned efforts. Already, we have accomplished so much together. But the ambition of Planetary Solutions also calls for new ways of working, new definitions for creating and applying knowledge, and new opportunities to define and measure Yale's impact in the world. As we move forward across academics and operations, Yale Planetary Solutions must expand our constellations, bringing new stars into alignment to drive innovative solutions. We will explore new opportunities with local and regional partners who share our commitment to sustainability as a driver of economic growth, workforce development, and community resilience. We will join with our partners to pursue synergistic goals and gather perspectives from a broad spectrum of actors to create a powerful vision for 2050. We will ensure that every new star added to our constellation supports progress towards our collective needs and aspirations. Because addressing planetary challenges demands a new structure that connects within and beyond the university. Yale Planetary Solutions is leading this effort to shape this strategic vision and goals that will continue to propel Yale forward. We know that to succeed, we must build partnerships rooted in collaborative action, accountability, and follow-through. We need new constellations that strengthen our ties internally between operations, research, and academics, and expand these connections to partners beyond the institution in critical ways. Because it will take a constellation of ideas, people, and partnership aligned in purpose and guided by hope to drive the impact we know we can deliver together. And so, with urgency, humility, and optimism, we move forward, building something worthy of Yale's history and that meets the challenges of our time. So we're gonna, in a moment, turn to our panel, led by President Maurie McInnis, joined by Mayor Justin Elicker of New Haven, and Commissioner Katie Dykes of the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Following the panel, we'll move into our workshop discussions to start to build this vision together and explore opportunities for collaboration and co-creation. Today is a day about imagining together what we can build, what connections we can strengthen, and what pathways we can open when we act with a shared vision and shared ambition. Because to meet the complexity of this moment, it will take all of Yale, and it will take all of us. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. And as I look out in the room, this gathering of climate visionaries reminds me of a leader in my own field of architectural history. So if you were to climb to the 3rd floor of Rudolph Hall, you will encounter an iron gate designed by one of the founders of modernism, a mentor of Frank Lloyd Wright, and the inventor of the skyscraper, and that is Louis Sullivan. His own greatest teacher, he insisted, was not the columns of the Parthenon or the flying buttresses of Notre Dame, but the unfolding of tree branches and flower petals. He distilled his perspective on nature and design into a simple mantra: form follows function. We could use these 3 words to also summarize the idea behind Yale Planetary Solutions. By developing technologies to clean our air and water, by discovering innovations to lower energy costs, by kickstarting new sectors to fuel the next century of research and manufacturing, our work follows the ultimate function of making people healthier, happier, and more economically secure. Sustainability is a means to the ends of longer and better lives for all. Now, that gate, designed by Louis Sullivan, was salvaged from an elevator inside a revolutionary building he designed in 1891 called the Garrick Theater. At that time, it was one of the tallest buildings in Chicago. It represented a new kind of towering structure to hold the huge number of people undertaking the huge efforts of commerce and art and industry that define the 20th century. In the same way, YPS is an expansive space for the pathfinders of this moment, when accomplishing individual goals requires pursuing collective work. That is today's mission: to convene the leaders who will inaugurate another era of transformation. Leaders like Julie Zimmerman, Vice Provost for Planetary Solutions, J. Mike Bellamy, Co-Chair of the Planetary Solutions Steering Committee, and Sarah Smiley-Smith, Assistant Provost for Planetary Solutions, and really everyone at the Yale Office of Sustainability and each one of you in this room. So that's why I'm thrilled to be here with you this morning. And now, join me in welcoming, I can't really say to the stage, to the chairs at the front of the room, 2 of the Nutmeg State's strongest sustainability champions, Commissioner of Connecticut's Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, Katie Dykes, and the Mayor of New Haven, Justin Elicker. You go the middle. All right, so let's begin with an idea that I just touched upon, which is partnership. One of the most exciting projects underway at Yale right now is the Upper Science Hill development. It is among the largest construction projects in the university's history. I want to know what was more, but anyway. Resulting in an addition of more than 600,000 square feet of labs and research space across 16 acres. And to power it, we're investing in geothermal infrastructure. But that also requires training a lot of skilled workers. So we're exploring partnerships with the Connecticut Office of Workforce Strategy to establish an apprenticeship pipeline. And we're already seeing that this project is motivating private companies like our construction partner, Brightcore Energy, to join us in driving forward these new workforce development pathways. It's a prime example of how higher education State and local government and the private sector can come together to catalyze positive impact and prepare for a zero carbon future. So Commissioner Dykes, from your position at the state level, why is collaboration necessary to build a cleaner, healthier, and more prosperous Connecticut?
Well, thank you so much for that question and for the invitation to be here, President McInnis. I know, and on behalf of Governor Lamont, I'm really thrilled to get to provide this kind of opening comment about the importance of collaboration. Certainly here in Connecticut, we know that working together with our flagship universities, working with cities that are leading on sustainability is the secret sauce, really, to demonstrating the viability and the benefits of investments in sustainability. There's a couple of reasons. I mean, the project that you mentioned is a great one. In fact, Julie and others were in the governor's office just a week ago, I think, talking about this particular project. And we were talking about what it can mean for geothermal and for our broader efforts to reduce energy costs and reduce emissions from our utility sectors. Everyone knows that geothermal has been talked about forever because we know that it's highly cost effective. But we don't see a lot of investment happening in geothermal. And the reason is that the payback period is really long. And so motivating the upfront capital to invest in these big infrastructure projects is really important to be able to get those savings over time. And so Yale is a perfect kind of first mover in this space because we know that this university is going to be here for a really long time. And your ability to demonstrate the viability of these measures is really important. At the same time, there are paybacks, more immediate paybacks from geothermal in terms of jobs and employment and economic opportunity. And we've visited with the building trades and others, workers that are being trained just up the road on these new technologies who are dying for a pipeline of projects that can help push this solution forward. You have so a project like this can not only work for Yale's goals, but can be a catalyst for increasing the workforce, the skilled workforce that's available to do these projects, becoming a demonstration project to show the savings and the potential for this resource that can attract more investment in other for other projects, multifamily, other universities, other institutions, and can really help be that jumpstart. And of course, I would be remiss in not noting that, the city of New Haven is punching above its weight in terms of helping to catalyze geothermal. Not only the city's leadership on an exciting project, I think you might talk about, Mayor, but also supporting and growing leaders like Representative Stephen Winter, who's here, who has been a leader here in the city, but also recently in the state capitol to push forward legislation that is giving our department more tools and more of a policy push to create the broader environment for geothermal that will, I think, see this Yale project really become the beginning of a lot more projects like this going around the state.
Yeah, that's great. Mayor Elicker, mayor of a city punching above its weight, at the city level, you want to talk about an example of a partnership that's opening up new sustainability possibilities?
Sure. And first of all, thank you for having me here. This is the last time I was on, or the most recent time I was on stage with someone else on a microphone was a debate where there were people in the audience that were heckling me and everything. So I think this is a slightly different environment here. You're welcome to heckle me if you really get passionate, but as another aside, normally if I were pointed to sit down at the waste table, I would be offended, but in this room, it's a badge of honor. Julie, right? Knowing the people in this room that love waste, and just really get into waste. So I thank you for that. I think there's a lot of existing models between Yale and the city, between the state and the city of truly successful climate initiatives. And URI is one of the best example is that I'm not sure if initially URI was focused on the climate benefits of the work that you all do with us, but the immense impact of having a much larger tree canopy throughout the city are obviously significant from a climate perspective, but also hugely significant for many, many other reasons that, I hope we can have some time to delve in further later in the conversation about, supporting our youth that, some of our youth are disconnected and giving them oftentimes their first job. The work that URI does with Emerge to help support folks that are coming out of prison to make sure that they have a group that they can work with, first job again, and a group that they can work with to choose a different pathway in life. Mass timber is another great example of a partnership. A Yale professor that is part of our largest mass timber project in New Haven, and I think it's the first affordable. I'm looking at Steve. Steve's going to correct me later on of all the things that I did wrong today, but because Steve's our climate director. But the first affordable project of mass timber in the nation. Is that right, Steve? Did I get that? Almost. I almost got that right. And there's huge potential for us to expand that work as well. I think Climate Haven's another example. I see Casey here of a lot of potential partnerships. So just there's the track record of that partnership, but there's also a huge opportunity for the future.
Yeah. So looking forward, Yale Planetary Solutions is currently working with partners ranging from the City of New Haven's Economic Development Office to the Connecticut Department of Housing to revitalize our region's regenerative timber industry, which is sort of some of what you were just alluding to. The work has the potential to create jobs in forestry, manufacturing, and engineering, and make building a home more affordable. So Commissioner Dykes, what other future opportunities do you see for advancing partnerships on sustainability?
I think that, I think Mayor Elicker, highlighted a lot of them. There is, I think we at our department are working across so many of the sectors that I see labeled on the tables here. And there are innumerable opportunities here. Yale is a significant landlord in the state and property owner. So is our department. I think some of the collaborations on building a sustainable forestry and supporting a sustainable forestry industry here within our state, whether that's the incredible work that Colleen's been doing with URI and ways we've replicated or sought to replicate some of that model through providing grants to other community-based urban forestry groups in other cities around the state. Just to pause on that as a great example, we were able to, at the state level, set a target for increasing forest canopy cover in our municipalities. Again, inspired a lot by the work that you've been doing, both in terms of measurement and in creating a really exciting community model for increasing tree canopy cover in communities right here around Yale, is something that we've been working then to create targets and then also grants to support capacity building in other municipalities to replicate those models. Again, that direct example of how we're able to take something that is working well at the intersection of Yale and New Haven and bring that to other communities around the state and create the backstop of targets that have a statewide applicability to measure our progress and ensure that we're accountable to making progress in this space. Another great example opportunity I want to highlight, because I look across this room and I see so many familiar faces, and that strength of community that we have that Yale has built is so important. People often talk about, as I talk to other state leaders from other states about their structure, and sometimes we're a home rule state, and don't close your ears, Justin, but sometimes we do complain a little bit about the 169 different municipalities that are sort of driving and a lot of decisions, and sometimes that can create a lot of heterogeneity and a little bit of inertia. But at the same time, when we see, we have this incubator effect that occurs at the municipal level too, especially when you can pair catalyzing leadership like we have here in New Haven with Mayor Elicker, with the brain trust and the policy intentions and commitments of an institution like Yale. We want to see more connections like that occur. And it starts with community and being able to retain and engage more of the scholars and the students that Yale is supporting and producing to get involved in some of these policies at the municipal and the state level. There's enormous opportunities for that. And our responsibility at the state level, I think, is to be more, open and thoughtful about making sure that leaders and innovators here at Yale and in the city know about what those opportunities are to plug in. And so that's something I'm excited about the conversations today in this initiative as a way for us to do that better.
Yeah. So Mayor Elicker, I wonder, as we're looking ahead, can you tell us more about the goals outlined in the City of New Haven's climate and sustainability framework?
Sure, and in the spirit of this not being a debate, but to respond to what of your, I too agree that we shouldn't have 169 municipalities, and
Didn't say that.
and we'd be happy to work with the state to annex some of our surrounding towns, with the exception of East Haven. Don't quote me on that, all right? That's a joke. I always like to nudge the mayor of East Haven. But I have to remember the question now. So our goal is to reduce climate carbon emissions by 55% of 1999 levels by 2030, and it's a very ambitious goal. And there's a lot of work that we're doing with Steve's office, and that helps coordinate efforts across the city to reach that goal. And I think that what has been hugely important to helping us walk towards that goal is creating the Office of Climate and Sustainability. Because previously we had individuals, I think somewhat similar to Yale's history, that were leading different departments that were enthusiastic about addressing climate, but then we had a lot of department heads that were not. And Steve, and it's not easy to do, but Steve is kind of like the conductor, trying to make sure that everyone's coordinating, that department heads that may not have this top of mind are thinking about different ways that they can do their jobs, which are, for the police department, doesn't really feel related to climate, right? Well, at the same, as an example, while at the same time focusing on our climate goals. And so there's a lot of different work that we're doing. And just to use that police department example, we have several police cruisers that are electric now. And it took some trust building with the police department to even purchase a couple of those. And now we have a track record there. We have an electric recycling truck that has been a journey. We purchased it, it broke, we fixed it, it broke again, we fixed it, it broke again, we were going to send it back to manufacturer, and currently it's functional, right, Steve? For 2 months. So I mean, you can see that the public works director is like, I'm done with climate, but so these things, you have to consistently work on them. On New Haven Public Schools, we just installed several parking lot canopies of solar arrays. Again, New Haven Public Schools is not the first thing necessarily on their mind is climate, but this work is hugely helpful to reaching those goals, and by the way, saving them money so that they can put more money in the classroom. So there's a lot of different initiatives that we have that are at the city level, and that meaning our own operations. But then broadly across the community, we're also working hard to help the community address climate-related issues too. I mean, transportation comes to mind. We partner with the state on bus rapid transit, which is a huge initiative that will facilitate faster bus transit in the city. The work that we're doing on geothermal with Union Station and the old Church Street South site will dramatically reduce the carbon emissions on that site and help save energy. There's a lot of other initiatives that we're doing on the city level to work towards those climate goals.
Yeah. I mean, you've just laid out something that I know everyone in this room understands well, that it's great to lay out a vision, but then you also have to figure out how you incentivize people to help carry it out. I know that one of YPS's focus areas is improving energy efficiency. And to that end, Yale Planetary Solutions is beginning a collaboration with Commissioner Dykes' department to test different strategies for incentivizing landlords and renters alike to make their buildings more energy efficient. So Mayor Elicker, starting with you, and then Commissioner Dykes, could you each talk about the kinds of incentives that are needed to spur private sector investment in sustainability work?
Sure. So the incentives have been hugely important for us to do the work that we're doing. I mean, we have over 50 electric vehicles in our city fleet now, and we're starting to have conversations because the incentives are disappearing at the federal level of do we want to spend another $10,000, $20,000 per vehicle on an electric vehicle? Because as you know, we have a lot of budget challenges and need to make sure that we're providing resources in other ways. And so that incentive is hugely important. The subsidies that we have gotten for solar, also hugely important. We broke ground on the solar canopy that's going to go on top of our landfill, and we could not be building that without the incentives that exist. Geothermal, the project I just mentioned, is a $9 million project, Steve? Thereabouts. Steve doesn't know his numbers either, that's good. So at least we're in this together. But the federal government seems to be somewhat stable on the geothermal investments, and it looks like they're not going to pull that funding from us, but we could not do that project without that federal investment. And when you have that subsidy that helps. With our recycling truck example, we could have never afforded that recycling truck. Helps us get used to the concept, helps us try it out. It's not disastrous if it doesn't work, but it builds that kind of track record for it working. It gets people more comfortable with it. Then it's more likely that we're going to pay a little bit extra in the future for those types of vehicles or whatever technology that exists. And of course, it makes the private sector find more ways to innovate, do things faster and easier, and mostly more cost effectively, so that in the future we can not need as many of those subsidies to implement these programs.
Yeah. Commissioner Dykes?
So one of the biggest incentives for energy efficiency right now is, frankly, the affordability crisis that many in our state and frankly across the U.S. are facing. It's no secret we have some of the highest utility rates here in Connecticut, and we are seeing increasing pressure on the cost of energy as due to inflation and macroeconomic factors, and just the growing competition and demand for energy that's occurring out there. So that means that the energy that we don't use is more valuable than ever before. And as cost of living has become a paramount concern, as inflation is really impacting the challenges for residents and businesses here in our state, it's more important. There's more of an imperative to deliver solutions that can help people lower the cost of that light bill every month. And so along those lines, notwithstanding what you hear coming out of Washington, energy efficiency investment has never been more important. And I'm really proud of the work that we are doing at the state level. We've been at this for decades in terms of our award-winning utility efficiency programs. But we know that there are gaps, particularly when it comes to the landlord-tenant challenge, where we have a mismatched incentive in terms of who will benefit from those energy efficiency investments. There's so many different things that we've talked about, building labeling, utility bill disclosure for renters, all the way up to those kinds of information pieces, all the way up to more innovative models to motivate investment, especially among landlords. And so I think just last week, DEEP issued a first of its kind request for proposals for aggregated energy efficiency projects, which I think we've gotten some really exciting initial response, including from innovators in this space. Since I started more than a decade ago in this area, there are so many third parties, startups that are now more mature companies that are doing really exciting things in this space. And so we're really looking forward to seeing what the responses will be. But we know that there are gaps, especially when it comes to renters and especially when it comes to low-income customers, including many here in New Haven, who may be paying much more than 6% of their monthly income for utility costs, and who may have things like mold and asbestos and lead and other code violations and issues that make it impossible to even get them on the journey to energy efficiency. I remember as a Yale student, typing out my papers, wearing gloves and a hat and a sleeping bag in my house on Dwight Street, because we had I lived in one of those houses. I think many Yale students have that experience, where you're only there for a short time. The landlord may not be motivated to make these investments. But that was a long time ago, and I'm confident that we have now new models that can help motivate these kinds of investments. It's really important, too, to the housing affordability conversation, which has really taken off. We know the Town conference happened here in New Haven just a few weeks ago. Affordable housing, to me, means also the house needs to be affordable to heat and cool. And I'm really excited about these new offerings and opportunities that we have to support those investments, which I know will be critical to New Haven residents and to Yale students and to our state as a whole.
Yeah.
Can I just add something that what the commission, because I think particularly at this moment where we're seeing the federal government withdraw from this space, it is the state gets it, and it is hugely important that the state continues what it's been doing as far as supporting these types of incentives. And to give a shout out to my waste table there, our materials management strategy is we're working on initiating a curbside compost program that it's very complex in a city like ours, and we received a significant grant from the state to build a facility on our solid waste site to help process the materials. And yet again, we could not possibly do this work if we didn't have the support of the state. E-bike incentives, there's so much work that the state has done to help us expand the work that we're doing. And at this time when we're seeing a national withdrawal from investments in this area, it's really nice to have a state that cares about this stuff.
Yeah, this conversation, I think, has been such a great example of the power of collaborations and partnerships across state government, our city government, and the role of universities. I believe all the Yale people in the room believe that universities have this opportunity to play a crucial role in sustainability. We conduct groundbreaking theoretical research, certainly, but we've also been part of developing tangible innovation. We experiment with bold ideas that have high initial risk and low initial return on investment, and we can do that in ways sometimes that private industry is not interested in doing. So starting with you, Mayor Elicker, could you explain the role that you see the broader education sector playing in the future of sustainability?
Sure. I see so many opportunities, specific to Yale and the City of New Haven's relationship for us to build on the work that's already being done. We've talked about mass timber, and I can imagine a world where, and by the way, we often talk about climate benefits, but I think part of the narrative has to be all the other benefits that come along with these climate initiatives, right? With mass timber, it's job creation. It's an opportunity to invest more in affordable housing in the city. And I can imagine us creating a working group with city, developer, and Yale folks that talk about some of the challenges that exist in our building code so that we might be able to change those to facilitate more construction of mass timber. I can imagine a commitment by the university and the city to have some of the projects that we work on be mass timber. I can imagine, Casey Pickett's my running buddy in the morning, and we're often brainstorming about, he says, oh, I got this company that's doing this or that. I can imagine so many opportunities coming out of Climate Haven, and New Haven is becoming, I think, similar to bioscience and life sciences that has been driven by innovations coming from the university, medical school, the hospital. That sector is booming. New Haven is one of the top places in the nation for bioscience research and development, and that helps us in so many ways with job creation, with our students actually having a classroom in one of the buildings so they can see themselves in that sector. And I think 101 College pays around, or 100 College pays around $5 million to the city in tax revenue as well. So you can just see all the benefits of that. And I can imagine some similar scenario with Climate Haven as it grows, companies trying things out in New Haven to see if they work, because we're really open to that, but at the same time also the potential for businesses to stay here and grow in our city, because our city is just a wonderful place to live. I'd also just think in general, the Yale creating more leaders in this space is something that shouldn't be overlooked. I mean, just looking around this room, I've been in New Haven for, 15 years or something like that, and I've seen the growth of so many people that I know, including myself, that, I was a Yale student at the School of Forestry and got involved in the green space group at URI, worked at the Yale Office of Sustainability for a short period as an intern, and I think there's other people, like Casey has that example, Stu has that example, Julie, you've grown into a very new and prominent position as well, and so many other people have that history of learning through Yale, but sticking with our community and growing to have a much broader impact. And I think that's something that we shouldn't overlook either. Yeah,
thank you. Commissioner Dykes, you want to?
So just adding to that, I mean, it's certainly part of my story too. And I think when I was a student at Yale in the early 2000s, it was, I never went to Hartford. I never thought about Hartford. I never read about what was going on in Hartford.
Right.
And I think that's changed really significantly. And it's so important to have the education sector and a powerful university leader like Yale anchored here in New Haven to create that sort of petri dish or catalyst, really, of leadership, of new frameworks and ideas, of new companies, being able to retain those students and scholars that are passing through the doors of this university and keep them anchored in New Haven, contributing, engaged and supported by policies that we're passing at the state level is essential, not just for our state, but for our country and for the world, because we can help to create that sustained development of policies and frameworks that are rooted in local issues and local realities. What we do a lot, I can't underscore enough, as we've talked about all these different examples of how the university is contributing and playing this role, just informing climate science and planning is really, really critical. And what we do at the state level, just another example, we have launched our Deep Climate Resilience Fund that is helping municipalities. This is back to how we're helping to catalyze good policy and investment through our municipalities. We're providing grant funding to the municipalities to be able to understand what their climate resilience needs are, and then design projects that meet those needs, and then provide match funding for those projects. And that's wonderful, but often at the municipal level, the people that you're talking to may be the same, the public works director who also drives the snowplow. Some of these are smaller towns. And they need help, and they need information. So some of the work, for example, that the School of Public Health is doing in providing actionable climate science to help people understand what sea level rise will mean, not just on a global scale, but in terms of communities here in Connecticut, what air pollution is doing to public health and how that will be exacerbated, those challenges as our temperatures rise and heat waves become more prevalent. That's actionable information that a mayor, that a town council, that a first selectman and a public works director can use to help design projects that are going to keep people safe and ensure that those communities can thrive and reduce some of the costs that are coming on residents and businesses if we aren't planning proactively. That's where some of the most important decisions are being made in terms of climate mitigation and climate resilience. And so the contributions of expertise and information and solution support for project design is an essential part of taking dollars that we can motivate at the state level and turn them into to real projects that demonstrate value. And I see that repeated in so many sectors: waste, you mentioned, water, resilience, energy. I'm really proud of the work that we're doing in this structure.
Yeah. Well, I would like to thank both of you for joining us this morning for this great conversation about collaboration, about the work we are doing and can continue doing together. I look forward to the progress we're all going to make. And let's thank our guests for joining us this morning. Good to see you. Thank you.